Joink. Beep, beep. Welcome back here. Let's just make sure. Yep, that's going good. All right, welcome to part 2 of this thing. Yeah, more Grinchy related things. I talked about Grinch Week in part 1. So I'm going to recap a little bit of the franchise, like kind of the best Grinch related things that there are. And of course, we got to go all the way back. Let's rewind back to 1957, the original book, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Perfect, timeless, amazing. There's a reason that that one jumps out and is a classic amongst all of the many dozens and dozens of Dr. Seuss books. You know, it's just great. Another fun little fact, like, the Grinch is not green in that book. He's not green in that book. It's kind of a black and whitish book. So it wasn't until, am I done talking about the book? The books, yeah, the book exists, it's great. You know, read it. You can get it anywhere. Five Below has several copies. Any retail store, any bookstore has it. Like, just read it if you haven't. You must. Anyway, then we go to 1966, the first animated special starring the Grinch. Now he's green. And that is my favorite iteration of the Grinch, period. That is probably the most iconic version of the Grinch, as that's kind of all we had for the longest time. 1966, Boris Karloff is the big thing there. Boris Karloff plays the Grinch, and he's the narrator. Hopefully you know who Boris Karloff is. I talked a bit about Boris Karloff a few weeks ago when I covered Young Frankenstein. Boris Karloff is Frankenstein. He's the Frankenstein monster. He's the most iconic version of the Frankenstein monster from the Universal Monsters glory days. Starting in 1931, he played the monster, and then he came back for Bride of Frankenstein, and then he came back again for Son of Frankenstein. Boris Karloff is the monster. He is also the Grinch. He does that voice. And then he's not the one who sings the songs, though. A lot of people like to think that he sings that iconic song, "You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch." We all know the song. It's on everyone's Christmas playlist. It's even on my Christmas playlist. Great, like one of the best, most iconic Christmas songs that there are. And that is what I think of when I think of the Grinch, is that song immediately comes to mind. Lots of funny little lyrics in that song, and I kind of pick and chose a few lines today for the show. One of the teases that I used was a line taken directly from the song, which is, "The king of sinful sots." Who's ever heard of a king of sinful sot? Well, it's in the song, and it always stuck out to me. What a bizarre line. And if you work in news, you know that a sot means SOT, sound on tape. So those are those little sound bites we play during the show. So whenever we're like, roll the sot, that's the first thing I think of. Oh, a sinful sot, it's the Grinch. It lives rent-free in my head. So that was a fun little line I had to take. And then, you know, all the stuff, the seasick crocodile is just great song. Yeah, and the animation was top-notch for its time. For 1966, it's aged so well. If you look at the restorations of it, it looks like something that would have been made yesterday. It's crisp, it's clean, the animation's amazing. You might notice that the animation is similar to Tom and Jerry cartoons, which is exactly the thing. It was the same creative team that did it. You know, the Grinch looks a little bit like Tom from Tom and Jerry. Well, there's a reason for that. It was the same creative team, so that's a fun little thing. Anyway, that's the best version of the Grinch, bar none. They could have stopped there as far as I'm concerned, but they continued. They actually then made a couple more animated specials. They made one in the 70s, one in the 80s. The one in the 70s is, you know, it's okay. I do watch this one every year as well. It's just called Grinch Night. Originally it was called Grinch Night. It was retitled to Halloween is Grinch Night. And yeah, they lean heavy into the Halloween holiday and how, like, that's the Grinch's favorite holiday. And then the Grinch runs across another Who from Whoville who's like out hanging out on Halloween night, and all the other Who's are like, oh, don't be out on Halloween night. The Grinch is out there. He's doing weird stuff. And, you know, the kid just kind of wants to see how it's going. And he crosses paths with the Grinch. And there's all this weird, trippy 70s animation that's kind of freaky from time to time. That's one I do watch every year for Halloween. I'd recommend it if you don't get the chance. And a new person voices the Grinch in that one. And then the next version of the Grinch was in the 80s, the early 80s, I think 82, was the final animated special, as far as I understand, called The Grinch's The Cat in the Hat. And that was a fun one. I watched that one as a kid too. It's, you know, it's a crossover. It's those two characters, and the Grinch is just terrorizing the Cat in the Hat the whole time. And it's so amazing to finally see the Cat in the Hat get his comeuppance, because he's kind of an annoying character in his stories. All he does is drive people crazy. So it's good to see the shoe on the other foot for once. And the Grinch just targets him and just terrorizes him for the whole, it's great. And again, there's a new voice actor that does the Grinch in that one. And then there was a musical in the 90s that came out. And then I don't think there was much more Grinch-related things until the 2000 Jim Carrey movie. And that is iconic. Unfortunately, I never got to see it in 2000 when it hit theaters. But it's great. It's exactly what I wanted it to be. It's hard to take, you know, a story that's that short and stretch it into a 90-minute movie, but they found a way to do it. They get into the Grinch's backstory and why he hates the Who's and the origins of, you know, how he got to be living up there on the mountain, and, you know, it's good stuff. And it's Jim Carrey. Like, can you think of a better actor with more frenetic energy to play the Grinch? Like, it was great. Everyone loves that version, and I do plan to go see it when it comes back to theaters here. You know, it would be good to finally knock that one off the bucket list of, you know, films to see on the big screen. It's iconic. It's 25 years old now. Everyone loves it. The soundtrack was a banger. Of course, we've got the Where Are You Christmas, and, you know, it introduced us to Taylor Momsen of the Pretty Reckless, and just amazing. Just everything about the movie is amazing. And then there's a fun little behind-the-scenes photo that was taken. I don't know if you've seen it circulating. There's a photo of the Grinch standing next to Professor Clump from The Nutty Professor 2, Eddie Murphy in his fat suit, because they were filming both movies at the same time. I believe in adjacent studios, and he just wandered right over, like Eddie Murphy just wandered over to the set, and they got a picture together. Amazing, amazing. So, yeah, definitely check out the 2000s Grinch. It's I'd say the second most iconic visual version of the Grinch. Did we cover enough with that one? Yes, we did. So, what else came after that then? I don't think there was much else Grinch related. Then there were some animated series, and he made appearances on those, and many different Dr. Seuss series, so we're not going to get too heavily into that. But then the next, like, solid iteration of the Grinch, and then there were musicals and stuff. The next solid iteration was in 2018, the Benedict Cumberbatch version of the Grinch. He voices the Grinch. You've probably seen the trailers out there. You know, it looks fun and cute and mischievous, and he does an okay job voicing the Grinch. He's a very different version of the Grinch. And yeah, it has that same style and feel from Illumination Entertainment, the Minions people. And that one's fun, and, you know, the story's always the same, so I don't have to recap the story. It's just the Grinch hating on the Who's, steals Christmas, figures out the true meaning of Christmas, his heart grows 3 sizes, returns all the stuff to the Who's, and happily ever after. Now he loves Christmas. Same, no exception with that Benedict Cumberbatch, although there's a lot of extra things that they added, which is interesting, and it adds a new element to it. But then, the big one, 2023, they released an official Grinch sequel to the book called How the Grinch Lost Christmas. And it took me a while before I finally tracked it down and read it. And it's a quick little read, and it's a cute little story. I heard this wild rumor at first that it was like, we shouldn't be using the word rumor when it deals with news, but when they were first releasing it, I heard it was based on an old manuscript that Dr. Seuss had that someone discovered and then turned into this book and, you know, changed it around a little bit. And I haven't been able to find any substantial evidence of that, but it was officially sanctioned by the Dr. Seuss estate. Like, they were the ones that pushed for it, and so I don't know how that story got out there, but they signed off on it. So they agreed this is the story we want, and that's how it went. And it's based on the animation style or the drawing style of the first book on Dr. Seuss and the characters and, you know, all that. So it's it definitely feels like a companion piece to the original Grinch. And this is the first Grinch thing that is like, it's canon and it's a new story. And it's not dealing with the story we've seen rehashed over and over again. It's kind of a different take on it, where it's 1 year later. The Grinch now, you know, he still loves Christmas, and he wants to show the Who's that he's changed, and he's a good guy, and he loves Christmas, and he gets a little carried away with trying to prove himself to the Who's, and then there's, you know, a miscommunication, and he gets a little upset again, and then he has to reprove himself, and then Cindy Lou Who is back, and there's a Christmas tree decorating contest, and you know, again, he kind of misses the point, but then figures it out, and then he comes around and changes again for the better. And you know, it was a cute little story. It was a cute little read, and the book itself, you know, it's cute. It isn't exactly the same style as the book, so I'd recommend checking that out if you get the chance. It's different, but you know, not different bad, different good. So there's that. And what else? I think we've discussed all the Grinch-related things, haven't we? I don't see anything else that hasn't been covered here. I'm sure there's other little Grinch appearances, and there's like the Grinch shows up on the Simpsons sometimes as the Grumble, or you know, whatever. And there's all these different little pop culture versions of the Grinch that we see. But for my money, 1966, Boris Karloff animated How the Grinch Stole Christmas. There's nothing better. I always used to call it The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. It just, you know, it rolled off my tongue a little better. So that's the one. And, you know, give it a watch if you get the chance. Tune in on NBC if you can. It's always fun to watch it like live, like classic, like when it was first broadcast. If not, just stream it. You kind of have to if you want to, like, you know, really embrace the Christmas season. So there is that. I think I've talked all I can about the Grinch for today. So let's just kind of tease ahead to next week then. No more Grinch-related stuff. I also I went to go see Goosebumps the Musical this weekend. I did that's my little weekend recap. Goosebumps the Musical, and I went to a toy show. It was a fun little weekend. And then prepping for this. So, next week, it's not a Christmas movie I have planned for next week, unless there's subtle Christmas themes in this. It'll be a new release, a scary movie, and, you know, a sequel to something that's out there, and another highly anticipated film. And I'm going to try to see it, you know, opening week, so that I can, you know, have a fresh take on it, like on Monday morning. Kind of excited for it. It's, you know, it looks good. I enjoyed the first movie. And that's that. And after this one, it's going to be more Christmassy related things, because it's, you know, 'tis the season. And it's December 1st. It's meteorological winter today. It's time to get into this. Don't try to get me into Christmas on October. Like, yeah, that's the whole thing. I can go off on a rant forever. Like, October is spooky season. November's time for the turkey. It's December 1st. Now it's time for Christmas. And whatever holiday you celebrate this amazing holiday season in this month. So, on that note, I'd like to leave you all with a happy holidays and check back next week for the next Flick of the Week. And in the meantime, stay spooky, my friends.